Last week, we took the Alaska Railroad from Fairbanks to Denali National Park, where we did some hiking and got to see the sled dogs. This week, we're on the Alaska Railroad again, this time from Anchorage to Seward and Kenai Fjords National Park. Today we're taking the Coastal Classic train on the Alaska Railroad down to Seward to see Kenai Fjords National Park. It's going to be our 21st national park. It's a little bit rainy, a little bit overcast, but we have a boat tour where we can go inside and outside of the boat, so we're hoping for a good day nonetheless.
The train leaves pretty early, so we made our way to the cafe car after we boarded. This one was different from the one on the Denali Star, and actually kind of had 2 levels. The train continued down along the coast, and even through the clouds we could see the silhouettes of the mountains.
One site along the route is the Spencer Glacier, a wilderness area only accessible by train. Here, people can enjoy hiking, overlooks of the glacier, or paddling in the lake at the foot of it.
Shortly before Seward, we went through an area called Eagle Alley. It's a common area to see eagles, and we saw no less than 30 of them on the way through.
When we arrived in Seward, there was a bus ready to take us to our boat tour. Not long after boarding the Aalic Voyager, we left the harbor for Resurrection Bay. We were able to see a group of whales feeding, which you could track based on where the birds congregated above the water.
After that, we crossed to the west side of Resurrection Bay over to the fjords. We made our way up through Aalic Bay to Aalic Glacier. As we got closer, we could see chunks of ice floating in the water that had broken off the glacier and drifted out.
The glacier was absolutely massive, and we were fortunate enough to see it calving. This is when the advancement of the glacier causes pieces of ice to break off and fall into the water. The glacier comes from the Harding Ice Field, the largest ice field in the United States, and the current origin of nearly 40 glaciers.
On the way out of Aalic Bay, we stopped at the Sea Stacks, a group of tall rocks jutting out of the water. We also saw one more glacier high up in the mountains on the way back to the harbor.
We had about 15 minutes after the tour before we had to get back to the train. Although it isn't advised, we headed over to the nearby visitor center to get the passport stamp for the park. We walked back to the train since we skipped the bus, but it was close enough that we still made it with plenty of time. The boat tour was incredibly scenic. Being able to see the glacier, the blue ice of it, being able to see it calving a little bit, especially after not seeing Glacier Bay, was amazing.
It was so amazing.
The one downside is if you get seasick, which I did not think I did it easily. We've been on several boats, Glacier Bay Tour, although those waters were a lot more calm, but even Lake Superior, I've been on some pretty choppy waves, not been a problem. But the open ocean outside of Resurrection Bay apparently gets me pretty seasick. So
I thought it was really fun.
A lot of up and then drop.
It felt like a roller coaster.
Of course, if you're familiar with waves, it's 3 to 4 foot waves, which I heard is really small for this area, but it got to me for whatever reason. So I'm very thankful to be back on dry land, back on the train, but it was a great experience nonetheless. Even with that downside, I'm still really glad we did it and had a great time. One of the downsides to stepping in the bathroom on the train can be missing views or wildlife, but not to worry with this little eye hole you can see right through here.
The dome car was surprisingly empty on the way back, so we spent most of the trip there since we weren't held to the 20-minute limit.
The train from Seward to Anchorage gets in around 10 p.m. tonight, and because of the rain on the glass, we don't have a great opportunity for shots out the side, so we're just going to spend the rest of the trip taking in the scenery. We're going to get to bed pretty quick when we get back because we have an early morning and a long drive out to Wrangell St. Elias National Park in the eastern part of the state.